चन्द्रनन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्ते। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः शिवतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपसाग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं पर्यटसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान्तरविता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पार्षदेशदायिने चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Audio?
The Lord agreed to take lessons from Bhattacharya on the Vedanta, and they sat together in the temple of Lord Jagannath. The Bhattacharya went on speaking continually for 7 days, and the Lord heard him with all attention and did not interrupt. The Lord's silence raised some doubts in Bhattacharya's heart, and he asked the Lord how it was that he did not ask anything or comment on his explanations of Vedanta. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself gives that should not hear any Bhashya from Mayavadis. Mayavadis means Sarvanash. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sat and heard from Bhattacharya so that he can deliver Bhattacharya from his explanations of Vedanta.
The Lord posed himself before the Bhattacharya as a foolish student and pretended that he heard the Vedanta from him because the Bhattacharya felt that in this was the duty of a sannyasi, but the Lord did not agree with his lectures. By this, the Lord indicated that the so-called Vedantis among the Sankar Sampradaya or any other Sampradaya who do not follow the instruction of Srila Vyasadeva are mechanical students of Vedanta. They are not fully aware of the great knowledge. The explanation of Vedanta Sutra is given by the author himself in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. One who has no knowledge of the Bhagavatam will hardly be able to know what the Vedanta says. Shankaracharya has not written any commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the point where the Shankar Sampradaya they fail to understand. Say the Shankar Sampradaya they consider Shruti more important than Smriti. They will consider the Vedas part and they will not consider the later Smritis and Puranas and Itihas very important as the Shruti. So they do not come to the conclusion of the path of bhakti and the personal form of the Lord. So they fail to understand that the Lord has a personal form and an intimate relation with his devotee, and his devotee never perishes. Not that there is a summon bonum, there is a superimposition of all varieties that is the basis for all existence. That is Shankara's philosophy. But ऐसा नहीं है. That Lord has his own personal form. This they fail to understand, and Srimad Bhagavatam clearly alienates, clearly puts forward to this world that Lord has a Bhagwan feature and a Paramatma feature, which is very distinct from his all-pervading Brahman feature. So that point Shankaracharya did not focus in his commentary, so they failed to understand.
There's the button. The Bhattacharya, being a vastly learned man, could follow the Lord's sarcastic remarks on the popular Vedantist. He therefore asked him, Why he did not ask about any point which he could not follow? Bhattacharya could understand the purpose of his dead silence for the days he heard him. This showed clearly that the Lord had something else in mind. Thus, the Bhattacharya requested him to disclose his mind. This is obvious, common understanding. If anybody is speaking, somebody is like numb, not saying anything. Then he has to think, "Arey, why he is not thinking?" So that's how Bhattacharya also felt like that, and he understood something else is there in mind.
Some difference in opinion.
So he wanted to request and ask.
Upon this, the Lord spoke as follows. My dear sir, I can understand the meaning of the sutra like Janmadhyasya Sastra Yonitvat Janmadhyasya Yatah Sastra Yonitvat Atato Brahma Jigyasa of the Vedanta Sutra. But when you explain them in your own way, it becomes difficult for me to follow them. The purpose of the sutra is already explained in them, but your explanation are covering them with something else. You do not purposely take the direct meaning of the sutras by indirectly, but indirectly give your own interpretation. So some this generally this Shankara Sampradaya person, they are very scholarly in nature, and then whenever the direct meaning is given, they will take the indirect meaning. Jiva Goswami writes in Tattva Sandarbha also that whenever the direct meaning is very obvious, then why you should take the indirect meaning? When in Gita, the words like mom, me, that directly Krishna is telling surrender to me. Many places, aham, mom, directly referring to Krishna, but they will indirectly refer to the Krishna within that. So they will always try to hide the obvious meaning which Vaishnavas are always try to point out. This was the point of contention between Mahaprabhu and Sadhguru Bhattacharya.
The Lord doesn't attack all Vedantists who interpret the Vedanta Sutras fashionably, according to their limited power of thinking, to serve their own purpose. Such indirect interpretations of the authentic literatures like the Vedanta Sutra are hereby condemned by the Lord. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much angry in this, condemning their sutra, written in their sutra forms. Because we have these four limitations. See? Cheating propensity, prone to illusion, and what else? Committing mistakes. So we have
Imperfect senses.
So once we have these things, then how can we write our own?
सर्वस्य चाहं निजसन्निविष्टो मतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत् वेदविदेव चाहम्. I am Vedantakrit. I am the doer of the Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedanta. Who other than the Lord can perfectly know the essence of his own words? Whenever we try to interpret the words of the Lord, then we are doing mistake. Lord is already interpreting his own words. By his breathing, the Vedas have been emanating, and by his another incarnation, that is Vyasadeva, he has given explanation of the Vedas through Puranas and Itihas. So he himself in the another form is giving explanation to his own words. There is no need for any other speculation or interpretation of the. The Lord continued, Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva has summarized the direct meaning of the mantras in the Upanishad in the Vedanta Sutra. Unfortunately, you do not take the direct meaning, you indirectly interpret them in a different way.
So we have authorized Upanishads. They don't consider Upanishads as much serious.
No. Upanishads are part of Vedas. Vedas have four parts: Aranya, Brahmana, Upanishad, and Vedanta. Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. Aranya are for people who are staying in the forest. Brahmanas are rules, regulation for the people who are staying in the family life. And then there is Jnana Kand. There is Karma Kand and there is Jnana Kand. There is Jnana Kand is there, Upanishad and Vedanta. These are these are part of Vedas. Upanishads are very integral part of. There are 108 Upanishads, and 108 Upanishads are divided into Vedas. This is linked with Rig Veda. This is linked with this Veda. Every literature are explanation of Vedas. Everyone is trying to explain the Vedas in their own way.
But that should match with Upanishad meaning, no?
Ah.
So that's the already written for that Vedas only to understand meaning in Upanishads.
Ah.
So then why unnecessarily again given the direct meaning, indirect meaning?
Correct.
So when we take these Upanishads, Upanishads, some many Upanishads, then these Mayavadis will be part.
Srila Prabhupada has given a very wonderful explanation.
The author of the Vedas is unchallengeable and stands without any question of doubt. And whatever is stated in the Vedas must be accepted completely. Otherwise, one challenges the authority of the Vedas.
Apurusheya. You know the meaning of Apurusheya? Our Vedic literatures are called
Beyond the understanding.
Our Vedic literatures are called Apurusheya, without any author. No author has written Vedas. So this is Brahma Vakya. The word Brahman also means Veda. The conch shell and the cow dung are bone and stool of two living beings. But because they have been recommended by the Vedas as pure, people accept them as such because of the authority of the Vedas. This is mentioned by Prabhupada ji in the Matras Parshas
Vedas. Which part of Vedas we hear this Panchana and this is the Kaudanya? Any reference in Vedas?
Yes, we can search it. It is easily available. In the Matras Parshas to Ponte purport, Prabhupada ji writes this. Even in winter season, we have to take bath, early bath. So whatever is mentioned in the Shastra, we have to injunction have to follow. Like, and in the summer season, the woman has to cook in the hot season, and then if the cow urine and dung is considered pure, we should accept it.
That is the way we have to accept the Vedic conclusions, injections, such injections. The idea is that one cannot set his imperfect reason above the authority of the Vedas. The orders of the Vedas must be obeyed as they stand, without any mundane reasoning. The so-called followers of the Vedic injections make their own interpretations of the Vedic injections, and thus they establish different parties and sects of the Vedic religion. Lord Buddha directly denied the authority of the Vedas, and he established his own religion. Only for this reason, the Buddhist religion was not accepted by the strict followers of the Vedas. But those who are so-called followers of the Vedas are more harmful than the Buddhists. The Buddhists have the courage to deny the Vedas directly, but the so-called followers of the Vedas have no courage to deny the Vedas. Although indirectly they disobey all the injunctions of the Vedas. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu condemned this. So in this particular paragraph, we understand that Buddhism and Vedantist. Buddhism is they are completely rejecting Vedas only. So they cannot teach anything from the Vedas. They don't accept anything. So their own conception. And coming to the Vedantist and Venkaracharya, these have they accept the Vedas, but they according to their own way. Is more dangerous than the Buddhist.
Right. I read.
You want to share anything from that? The Buddhist is Shunyavadi, yeah?
This Buddhist has 4 sects in them. So there is not confined to one. But main teaching of Buddhism is that everything is deteriorating due to time. When the time factor is applied in matter, the form is deteriorating. Matter is eternal. The form of the matter deteriorates due to application of time. Every object in the material world will deteriorate the time. So the form is temporary experience. The material world is temporary experience. But they consider the form to be, Shankaracharya considered it to be illusion, and Buddhists they consider it to be zero. But both are wrong, because there is a chair in the spiritual world which doesn't perish. The chair is not false. Chair, everything is a part of Krishna. The chair is eternal part of Krishna. Computer is eternal part of Krishna. The current experience of chair within this combination of five elements, that is false. समझ में आ रहा है? Experience of object in the through five elements,
Not
that is
false,
temporary.
not
हाँ.
false, temporary.
Now, so this Mayavadi they consider is an illusion, and Buddhist they consider is that false. But in Jain also they have their own thing. So, but Vaishnavas they consider this temporary experience of the vibhuti of the Lord. They are experiencing the opulence of the Lord temporary manifesting. The opulence of the Lord cannot be challenged. The chair, because there can acharyas can show a chair which doesn't perish anytime. The chair is not false. Currently हम जो chair देख रहे हैं वो थोड़े दिन के बाद सड़ जाएगा. That will deteriorate. That is the contention between Vedic followers and Vaishnavas and Buddhists.
Means they are Shunyavadis, they are like Nirvisheshavadis.
That is considered that Shankara is covered Buddhism.
Almost like the law. They deny the Vedas completely and they have their own religion. And they accept the Vedas, still they have their own way of understanding that.
The example given by the Lord of the conscience and cow dung are very much appropriate in this connection. If one argues that cow dung is pure and the stool of a learned Brahmana is still more pure, this argument will not be accepted. Cow dung is accepted, but the stool of a highly posted Brahmana is rejected. So anybody's stool is not pure. But cow is the gavya part. When Krishna, Lord Vishnu created this universe, then he created the process of getting liberated from the universe. Okay, so he created the Vedas. There is two parts, Vedas and cows. He created the Vedas to give injunction and to practice through kriya, through activity. Through activity, if you want to get the practice of the Vedas, then you need ingredients. And those ingredients are provided by the cow.
The Vedic injunctions are self-authorized. And if some mundane creature adjusts the interpretations of the Vedas, it defies their authority. It is foolish to think of oneself as more intelligent than Srila Vyasadeva. Yeah, he has already expressed himself in his sutras, and there is no need of help from personalities of lesser importance. His work, the Vedanta Sutra, is as dazzling as a midday sun. And when someone tries to give his own interpretation on the self-effulgent sunlight Vedanta Sutra, he attempts to cover the sun with the cloud of his imagination. Same thing happens. When everything is clear, what is the need of interpretation? Dazzling himself is written, everything, commentary and everything. And why we have to think we are more intelligent than the author himself? Many times it happens also when we give lectures or anything, we give your own interpretation for that. Already Prabhupada given everything clear. The people didn't understand. That only it's
Modern WhatsApp example, Facebook example. Bill Gates got divorced.
And another but analysis, what a great analysis given there. See, they are as dazzling as a midday sun. Then the interpretation by whatever original author does, and they are like covering with a cloud.
You know that verse in Padma Puran, Maya Vada Asat Sastram Pachandam. Lord Shiva, there was a meeting between Lord Shiva and Vishnu. And Lord Shiva agreed to come as Shankara. Lord Shiva says to Parvati Devi that I will come as Shankaracharya.
I heard this and not read in the book.
There is a famous verse that is quoted by many ISKCON devotees. That is that Lord Shiva says to Parvati Devi, I will come and cover the actual meaning of the Veda. He came in to refute Buddhism and to establish Vedas, which appropriate, and he also established Pancharatra, the deity worshipping process. All the temples in India were rejuvenated by him. They were when Ashoka and all those kings were there. It became very less important, but then later Shankaracharya he rejuvenated, but it took 4 acharyas to come and counter Shankara, and even though even after that Shankara is undefeatable, but when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji came, then the real, that what is the second verse? Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahaditau Gaura Daye Pushpavantau Chitrau Samdotamo. The moon and the sun has arisen to Tamonudau to diminish to finish the moon. You see, Lord had to appear himself to remove this Shankara's ideas from India. The Vedas and Puranas are one and the same in purpose. They ascertain the absolute truth which is greater than everything else. The absolute truth is ultimately realized as the absolute personality of Godhead with absolute controlling power. As such, the absolute personality of Godhead must be completely full of opulence, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Yet the transcendental personality of Godhead is astonishingly ascertain as impersonal. See, if Lord is complete in his own self, then there cannot be any upadhi to the Lord. This is a very big discussion by Jiva Goswami in his works, many of his works. Upadhi is designation. So if Lord is eternally not having any opulence, then how come this opulence has come to him? He is, or if it is without any power, is impersonal, then suddenly this opulence has appeared in him. Suddenly he manifests this opulence. No, this opulence which we experience in the material and physical are eternally part of him. Whenever there is an example given in the Upanishad, whenever there is fire, the heat and light will be there. Heat and light are eternal part of fire. There cannot be any existence of fire without heat and light, and heat and light cannot be independent ever without a fire. So Jiva and Prakriti cannot be ever independent of Krishna, and Krishna always exists with all his opulence, including Jiva and Prakriti. The absolute truth eternally contains a spiritual and material opulence, and that is not that suddenly this Brahman has somehow other has gathered this opulence. Upadhi. Lord cannot, somebody cannot somehow externally cannot put any designation on the Lord. Any bifurcation, varieties, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता भगवान. God is absolute and everything is relation with him, and that is eternally relation with him. The eternal relation of every name and form in the material and the spiritual world is there with him. आज किसी ने बनाया ऐसा नहीं. The chair is eternally part of Krishna. Jiva is eternally part of Krishna. Golok Vrindavan is eternally part of Krishna. Suddenly somehow ऐसा नहीं हुआ है. When you say Krishna, it includes all his relation with everything.
Especially here I found one point, the Vedas, Smriti and Smriti with the same purpose.
This
Smriti,
is the thing that when the lyric literature appeared by the breathing of Lord Hari in the Brahmalok as a person, Jiva Goswami quotes, Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Jiva Goswami quotes one shlok from the Rig Veda stating that all the literatures appear simultaneously. जब भी वेद अपेयर होते हैं तो वेद के सारे परिकर इंक्लूडिंग 18 पुराण, उपनिषद and Agama, Pancharatra, Gama, Agama, Pancharatra, these are simultaneously appearing in the spiritual world. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि खाली वेद प्रकट हुए. That is a very wrong. Vedas are also eternal and Puranas are also eternal. Itihas are also eternal. Pancharatra is also eternal and Upanishads are also eternal. They eternally exist as eternal as Vedas. So their conclusions are also eternal.
Same purpose. The impersonal description of the absolute truth in the Vedas is given to nullify the mundane conception of the absolute whole. Personal feature of the Lord are completely different from all kinds of mundane features. The living entities are all individual persons, and they are all parts and parcels of the supreme whole. If the parts and persons are individual persons, the source of their emanation must not be impersonal. He is the supreme person among which all are related persons.
What is that verse? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamivashyate. From bigger whole, small whole comes.
Class seven.
From the bigger whole, smaller whole comes. Okay. And so the part is it eternally has a relation with whole. Now the problem with this Mayavadi philosophy is that part has somehow emanated from whole, which is illusion. They consider that part is illusion. Somehow, due to Maya, we are experiencing part. Actually, there is no part, only whole. No. Vaishnava philosophy says that parts are eternally associated with the whole. The Prabhupada ji in first chapter 1520, he gives a very good example of a tree. You want to see the example? So the branches are part of tree, leaves are part of tree. The point branch, you can also say this is tree. The point this branch leaf of the tree. The tree is eternally independent of branch and leaf. The quality that tree possesses, the whole will have some more quality that none of its parts will have. When we say Bhagwan Narad, we say Bhagwan Vyasadev, we say Bhagwan Shiv. Why they are calling Bhagwan to all these great personalities? Because they are having some godness, some Bhagavata, some quality of Krishna. Therefore, Sant, Muni, Rishi, Yogi, we also call them. They have some Ashtasiddhi. उनको भी हम प्रणाम करते हैं because they have obtained some like Mukesh Ambani. They have obtained some opulence of Krishna. That is, so 1% Krishna is there within it. Right? But Krishna will have such a quality that no other person can have. Or even all the parts accumulated cannot have that quality.
What is the meaning? How this individuality exists in Krishna also and part and parcels also?
The Vedas inform us that from his Brahman everything emanates and from him everything rests. After annihilation everything merged in him only. Therefore he is the ultimate dative causative and accommodating cause of all causes, and these causes cannot be attributed to any impersonal object. There are four kinds of causes, right? There are four kinds of causes. So even the material cause, even the material, like I am the cause of moving this mouse. Okay. But I am not the I am not such a cause that I have made this mouse and entered in this mouse and I am making this mouse move. But Lord is all the four causes: efficient cause, direct cause, formal cause, material cause. ऐसा सब चार प्रकार के causes है. Okay. So all the causes are Lord, the Supreme Lord. So in our Vaishnav, there is an entire school, an entire Shastra on causation. In our Karyavad बोलते हैं, in our Vedic literature, there's entire Shastra on causation only. Okay, and each philosophy school will have their own theory of causation. And Bhagavatam also has his own theory of causation. तो हमारा theory of causation में क्या है? The cause exists within its effect. Prior to prior and in its effect. The movement में अभी ये move हो रहा है और cause is the supreme lord. Supreme lord is the cause of the movement of this mouse. The supreme lord is also present in this mouse personally. That is why word cognizance, swara, क्या what is the word abhigya. He is cognizant of every activity. When you are eating a gulab jamun, you are experiencing. Even Krishna is experiencing that gulab jamun. Not only you are experiencing that gulab jamun, Krishna is aware of your experience. He's experiencing everything because he's the summon bonum cause of everything. We are all the causes you see in the material world are only nimitta cause. Only they are partial cause, but they are not the founding causes. Instrumental cause. Nimitta cause क्या निमित्त मात्र that is called instrumental cause. The Supreme Lord is just using your as a through this person, but the Supreme you have not created that material, neither you have desired this to happen. There are other causes that are also for the activity. We cannot simply any activity comes, we cannot simply blame a person. तुम्हारे वजह से हो गया. ऐसा we cannot say it like that. Because the Supreme Lord, all his causes is present eternally in every event.
The Vedas inform us that he alone become many. And when he so desires, he glances over material nature. Before he glanced over material nature, there was no material cosmic creation. Therefore, his glance is not material. Material mind or senses were unborn. When the Lord glanced over material nature, thus evidence in the Vedas proves that beyond a doubt, the Lord has transcendental eyes and a transcendental mind. They are not material. His impersonality, therefore, is a negation of his materiality, but not a denial of his transcendental personality. How the Mahavishnu, Karmadeksha, Vishnu, and Garbhodeksha, Vishnu glances on the Mahatattva and glancing
Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu. Yeah, that is was explained how.
What is this glance? The matter is eternally inactive.
And makes that
So what is that glance?
not only himself personally enters.
That glance is time factor. The glance is time factor. Every event will start with a time. नहीं तो matter eternally is inactive. Matter doesn't have desire to do any activity. So the desire with all the karma bandhana, जीव के साथ में कौन भगवान टाइम रूप में आते हैं. When time is applied to matter, then the matter becomes activity. So the Supreme Lord is the Kala present in every activity.
Yeah. Glance is compared to time. Yeah. Lord also has transcendental eyes, transcendental mind, everything is transcendental.
Yes. See, what we are negating, there is a neti. This what is the Sankhya Prasati? Negation. They are want to find the absolute truth, the sum and bonum of everything. परम सत्य, परम तत्व अब ढूंढ रहे हो, ठीक है? Okay. So they are trying to negate the inferior levels to get to the superior level. But inferior level also exists. It is not that it is not. It has become zero when you have experienced the supreme level. Inferior level are eternally part of Krishna. That is Vaishnava. They do not reject because they see everything as in relation to Krishna. तो reject क्या करने का? But Sankhya philosophy में reject करते हैं. Reject to reach the topmost level. Right? Brahman ultimately refers to the personality of Godhead. Impersonal Brahman realization is just the negative concept of mundane creation. Paramatma is a localized accept of the Brahman with all kinds of material bodies, and then the ultimate supreme realization is the realization of the personality of God according to all evidence of the revealed scripture. He is the ultimate source of all Vishnu Tattvas. So the example is given, the idea of a pot, the ideal pot, and the actual pot. This is a Vaishnava example. Idea of a pot. Like that, this is a very good example of a concept of a president. And the president exists in every state. Every nook and corner of the road you find one president. इसका head, ये institute का head, ये मंदिर का head, this hotel का head. So he's a president also there everywhere. And there is a general idea of president. What is the idea of president? That one who presides over another. कि कोई एक व्यक्ति दूसरे के ऊपर राज्य करता है, एक लीड करता है, हाँ, उसके अंडर में दूसरे लोग काम करते हैं. The idea of president. The idea of a president is the Brahman realization, and every nook and corner is the Paramatma realization. But there is a president of India also, and you can personally go and meet him. So is a very good example by many Vaishnava devotees that once you went to once a very rich person from India went took an appointment from the Prince of England. The Prince of England was very busy inside. Like, "Kya ho raha hai? Why he is not meeting me? How busy he is?" So he just was standing outside in the waiting room. He just shifted the curtain to see what is doing, and the Prince of England was playing with his child. So it is not that the Supreme Lord is just only doing his the activities of presiding, but he is performing his intimate pastimes in Vrindavan, playing with his cowherd boys and gopis and all. It is not that he's only interested in the Aishwarya part of this activity.
This also I heard somewhere. The Puranas are also supplementary to the Vedas. The Vedic mantras are too difficult for an ordinary man. Women, Sudras, and so-called Christ born higher caste are able to penetrate into the sense of the Vedas. And thus the Mahabharata and the Puranas are made easy to explain the truths of the Vedas. In his prayers before the boy, Sri Krishna, Brahma said that there is no limit to the fortune of the residents of Rajabhumi, headed by Sri Nandamara and Yashodamaya, because the eternal absolute truth has become their intimate relative. So the understanding of Vedas very highly mantras, Vedic mantras are very difficult for ordinary men. But the same Vedic truths are there in the form of Mahabharata and other Puranas, and they will give the same truth as the Vedas, especially for the women and Sudras. This way one can understand. And later in the prayers out, the Rajabasis got the ultimate fortune of getting Krishna there.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that each syllable can have multiple meanings. Each syllable in a mantra can have various meanings. There is one Acharya called Srinath Chakravarti Thakur. He is a disciple of Advaita Acharya. He has written Bhagavatam's commentary. In every verse he has found Srimati Radharani. Puri like that. So Vimudha Nanu Pashyanti Jnana Chakshusha. This is there in the chapter 14, 15 chapter. Vimudha Nanu Pashyanti, 15 chapter. Pashyanti, one who has vision, knowledge, love, he has correct understanding. Right? He can see correctly, not any other person without sufficient understanding. The Vedic mantra maintains the transcendental truth has no legs, no hands, yet goes faster than all and accepts everything that is offered to him in devotion. The later statements definitely suggest the personal feature of the Lord, although his hands and legs are distinct from the mundane hands or legs or senses. The word absolute means he is in relation to everything. And What is Maya then? Maya is Jiva, also one of the features of the Lord. Jiva considering that everything is not in relation. The God independence, that is Maya. God independence ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. God relation is only there. But once थोड़ा सा God independence world view आ जाता है जीवा के पीछे, then जीवा associated with matter. Matter is God independence world existence. Illusion of God independence. Actually, everything is relation to God. So whatever hands and legs are there, they are all are Krishna's hands. And the Purusha Shukta first mantra क्या है? Sahasra, Sahasrapad, right? Krishna has hundreds of hands, hundreds of eyes, and he is very near to you. As a Paramatma, he is standing very also near to you. Even though he is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, he is also intimately related to you.
Brahman therefore is never impersonal. But when such mantras are indirectly interpreted, it is normally thought that absolute truth is impersonal. The absolute personality of Godhead is full of all influences. And therefore he has a transcendental form full of existence, or knowledge of bliss. How then can one establish that the absolute truth is impersonal?
Impersonalism कभी आएगा जब भी आप कृष्ण से रिलेशन नहीं बनाएंगे. When there is relation, then it has to be two-sided.
Person.
And then there can be relation, there will be activity also. So every object has a relation with Krishna, whether in the material world or spiritual world. Every object, living and every entity, living entity, non-living entity has a relation with Krishna. So impersonalism is trying to deny that relationship. Our entire Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is based on relationship. भगवान ही expand हुए हैं in various features. Another feature of the Lord. The Lord is having his own feature also. Goloka eva nivasat akhiratma bhuto. He has his own residence also. Not that he pratyek dhama swayam jyote vishnu is residing everywhere. Andandarastha paramam. But he has his own. Just as the tree has its own existence. All the parts cannot make up tree. Leaf cannot make up tree. Leaf and branch cannot make up tree. So a whole will have its own existence. And whole to experience whole, that cannot be on the level of matter. You have to have consciousness. Therefore, when consciousness is there, then you get meaning. What is the meaning of this combination of clay? That is a statue. Meaning कौन देख रहा है? A conscious entity देख रहा है. Wherever there is meaning in the material world, meaning is equal to name and form. Meaning is equal to name and form. Name and form कभी आएगा when conscious entity is in relation to that matter. तभी name form आएगा. Okay. You are free. The energy of the energy of अब बढ़ना है ब्रह्मन
ऊपर जाओ
ये पढ़ना ये पढ़ना The Brahman being full of opulence is understood to have many fold energies, but all these energies are classified under three headings under the authority of Vishnu Puran. We say that transcendental energies of the Lord are primarily three: the spiritual energy, the energy of the living entity classified as a superior energy, and the material energy, which is the inferior energy, which sprouts out of ignorance. जो भगवान के material energy है, this is the aspect of Krishna which gives you illusion of separation from Krishna. How do you define matter? Matter is the aspect of Krishna, which gives you, and Jiva, associating with matter, gives him the illusion of separation from Krishna. Matter is illusion of separation from Krishna. And when the same object you consider that connection with Krishna, this no longer becomes a mouse and becomes a spiritual entity that is engaged in the service of Krishna. So this will be a mouse matter only when you consider this independent of Krishna. Therefore, three energies of the Lord is Ishwar, Jiva, and Prakriti. Lord Himself and His spiritual opulence, then Prakriti is material opulence, and the marginal potency that is Jiva.
The energy of the living entity is technically called the Kshetrajna energy. This Kshetrajna Shakti, although equal in quality with the Lord, becomes overpowered by material energy out of ignorance and thus suffers all sorts of material miseries. In other words, the living entities are located in the marginal energy between the superior and inferior energies. And in proportion to the living entity's contact with either the material or spiritual energy, the living entity is situated in the proportionately higher and lower levels of existence. So this matter Jiva Tattva is marginal. Wherever Jiva wanted to associate with material energy and spiritual energy, although both are Krishna's energy only, in brackets, right?
Yeah. According to the proportionately higher or lower levels of existence. According to their separation from Krishna, they are in the different levels in the material existence. Urdham gachati sattvam madhya tishnati rajasa adho gachati tamasa. The Lord, huh? The Lord is beyond the inferior but marginal energy as above mentioned, and his spiritual energy is manifested in three ways: eternal existence, eternal bliss, eternal knowledge. As far as eternal existence is concerned, it is conducted by the Sannidhi potency. Similarly, bliss and knowledge are conducted by the Saladini and Samvit potency. As the supreme energetic Lord, He is the supreme controller of the spiritual, material, and marginal energies. And all the different types of energies are conducted within the Lord in eternal devotion service. There are different energies of the Lord which are eternally existing in the personified form in the spiritual world, and they are serving the Lord. The major are Sannidhi. Sannidhi is the Lord Balaram ji. Okay. Samvit is Krishna's Naam Roop Leela. And Aladini is Samvit is the knowledge potential of the Lord, of Himself, knowledge about Himself. Sannidhi is the existence potency of the Lord. And Aladini is the pleasure giving potency. Srimati Radharani is representing the Aladini Shakti of the Lord. So if you eat a samosa and if you are getting some pleasure, that is pervasion of the Aladini Shakti of the Lord. Now through external energy, Maya Devi. But वो शक्ति कृष्ण का है. Vargo devasya dhimahi dhyo yo na prachodayam. That energy of the Lord is pervaded all over the world.
So now it is 2:10. Now 3:30 I have another session. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.